Hey guys, it's Sarah. So today I am going to be doing a book review on the book Wintersong by S.J. Jones. So I was originally sent an ARC of this from the publisher. When I heard about it, I was like, I need to have this. So I emailed them a lot and I was like, please send it to me. And they did, and so then I pre-ordered the hardcover anyway, and I am going to be talking about it. So today I'm doing a spoilery-free review of the book. So don't worry if you haven't seen it, it's gonna be good. The first thing you should know is that it is marketed as a Labyrinth retelling. So I really love the movie Labyrinth, which starred David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly back in the 80s. And so when I heard there was a book that was kind of like a retelling of it, I was like, give it to me. I have some of the Funko Pops. I don't actually have Jareth though. Everywhere I've seen it, it's $30 and I'm not gonna pay that. So Wintersong, A+. I really liked this book. However, there were a few problems. It is a story. A beautiful story. Set, I'm assuming, Germany. In the past, sometime, there's like this peasant family. The dad used to be a maestro, and he got too drunk, alcoholic. The eldest daughter is actually a little bit of a music prodigy. However, the youngest son, because he's a son, gets all the attention because women belong in the kitchen and the boys will be boys. And then there's also a middle sister who's portrayed as being a bimbo, airheaded, loves makeup-y person. Very like one-dimensional, I will say. Kind of like the archetypes of the family. So the main character, Liesl, she, grows up as peasants do, doing peasant-like things. And one day she goes to market and there's like these goblins that look like people there, and they enchant her sister and they steal her sister, and then essentially she has to go on this grand adventure to go and rescue her sister from the evil Goblin King. Jareth, the Goblin King. He actually they don't release his name, but I named him Jareth in my mind because obviously. She's like, yo, gotta get my sister back. And so she trades herself in exchange so her sister can be free. But yeah, so she then has to like go and duel wits with the Goblin King in order to try and get her sister back. And then from there, a series of events happen that are both adventuresome and sexual for a YA book. So overall, I liked it. I thought it was very nice, especially like I feel a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm such a big Labyrinth fan that you just slap a sticker saying it has to do with Labyrinth and I'll like it more than I probably should, so I'm a little biased. I'm trying to be upfront about it. Okay, so first I'm gonna start with some of the things that I thought were meh. So first off, the book felt weirdly split. There was kind of like a very clear before and a very clear after, and it almost felt like two separate books where just in the middle like an event happens and then it's just like, what? It was a little off-putting, as well as some of the magical rules seemed to be not explained enough that they kind of made sense. They just kind of were like, yep, topsy-turvy, fuck physics. But like that's neither here nor there. It's a fantasy book. You gotta expect some craziness. So I mean that's just one of the things. Another thing I didn't like, I felt the book was a little bit too long than it should have been. It definitely dragged a little bit, kind of like midway, like middle towards the end was a little kind of draggy, and then a bunch of stuff happened at the end. It's just kind of like, and then everything exploded and oh, it's done. I don't know if this is gonna be a standalone or a series, if they've announced it. I don't know, I should probably Google that. But the ending was a little bit kind of jarring for me. I'm not gonna obviously talk about it, but I thought it was just kind of like stuff happening, and then I like was looking at how many pages were left and I was like, how is this all supposed to resolve? So it went from kind of like the pacing was just like, could have been a little better. Another thing I didn't like was that it was highly like, this is a Labyrinth retelling. This is a Labyrinth retelling. There wasn't even a labyrinth. The rooms kind of moved. It was a very unseelie court kind of feel where it's like all these creepy monsters, but like it really did not have a lot to do with Labyrinth except the idea of a Goblin King. For the amount of emphasis that was put on it being very similar to Labyrinth, there really was not a lot of parallels except kind of like, beautiful younger woman, I desire you. The main character also, she kept talking about how she wasn't beautiful a lot. That came up a lot, kind of. We get it. You don't like yourself. Like, she didn't even describe herself. She's like, I'm so plain. Pooh. And it was just like, I'm not beautiful like my sister. Just like that kind of vague, talking about how she's not pretty thing, but like, you don't actually get like specifics. It's just like, I'm so plain and I have brown hair. Describe her, please. I feel that I'm being terribly negative. But those were just kind of like some of the things that I was like, But okay, going back to the good stuff, bringing it back in. Did like the story because I really like fairy and Sealy court style things. I mean, I enjoyed the weird underground magical world in which the characters inhabit for a large portion of the story. It's almost kind of like a Hades Persephone story. You have kind of like this brutish magical man and a frail lady who's like, I am so strong. I really liked the world building. There was a lot of emphasis on kind of like talking about the visuals. There was a lot of talking about like the feelings about the characters, and I really liked how the characters did progress through the story. Like, you really do see a bit of character growth throughout all of the characters. Lizel and her sister and her brother and the Goblin King, Jareth. They all do have character arcs and they're individual of each other, which I appreciate it, and you learn a lot more about them like as the time goes on, because there's a lot of like ruminating and pondering about stuff. So it's not really like an action heavy story. Like, there is action, but it really is just kind of like character driven, as well as here's this magical world happening, what is happening, stuff is happening. I really liked that. I appreciated the story and I really enjoyed reading it. Like, I read it really quickly. I like that even though it's not a lot like Labyrinth, it's got that vibe to it, that like kind of nostalgia, magical vibe, and it really works for the story, and it does separate it a lot from, it's not Labyrinth, it's Wintersong, which I guess is technically important. But yeah, so those are essentially all my thoughts I feel on this story without getting into like spoilery stuff, because the ending was kind of odd. Like, I hope it's not a standalone book just for selfish purposes. S.J. Jones, this is her first book, and I feel that her writing style is really interesting and I really liked it. So if she publishes again in the future, I will definitely be picking it up, because even though the plot had a little squiggly things that I was kind of questionable about, I really enjoyed the overall just like style of her writing, the way she would incorporate dialogue with like talking about the setting, and I feel if she like was able to hone the kind of pacing issue, it would be so good. So like, I'm really anticipating some of her like next stuff, know what I mean? But yeah, please in the comments below let me know your thoughts and opinions on this book if you've read it. Like, tell me if you agree or disagree with what I am saying, because I like to talk about the books. My name is Sarah. Thank you guys so much for watching this review of this glorious book, and I will see you guys soon with another video.